mean no things to me.
Alright, come on guys. JRTV Hawaii, searching for truth, equality, and world peace. 10 reasons why it's best to wait for the right person, whether in this life or the next. Got lots of lights. All the guys ran the cherry pickers up and just lit these palm trees up, so you guys get to enjoy a real treat here. And we're also gonna enjoy 10 points here that I've learned sometimes the hard way. First of all, mathematically, you know, you wouldn't seduce somebody that you really cared about, really found a lot of common values, a lot of common interest in, and therefore you can deduce that if you're with somebody you're trying to seduce, that you actually don't care about them. You do not, okay, watch this, you do not care about them. You can check out the boat there, it's pretty cool, yeah. You don't care about them, so what that means is number one, you're associated with people you don't care about. And so number two is you're giving your time and energy to them. All right, and that means that you're neglecting to save up the reservoirs of time and money that you need in order to give to your dream mate and promulgate your mutually shared dreams. So that's point number two. Point number three is just the memories. Why would you want the memories and experiences with somebody else that you don't truly love? You know, you just don't want those memories. Number four is you don't want the physical, like not just memories of doing fun things together, but the physical memories of like emotional and connection and psychic connection and like stuff like diseases potentially, or just anything to do with like memories of wishing that, well, you know, I wish this person, you know, I wish they liked me, or I wish they, you know, still, and then you might see them around in public. So anything to do with memory, right, of them, it's just something that's not, you don't want to have to think about. And this could obviously negatively affect your social life and just life in general as well. Look at this place, by the way, guys. We're really having a treat here, aren't we? So number five is the idea that the man gives all his energy to the woman, and she's in turn supposed to redistribute it and into their collectively shared dreams. So the man gives the energy and passion, money, support to the woman, and she's supposed to return but see, this is about paradoxes. The paradox is you think you quote unquote win if you seduce a woman, but really you're just giving her all your energy. Obviously no one wins, because you know you might break up. And that's point 6. It makes you look like you don't know what you're doing. All right, it makes you look like you do not know and are impatient to wait for the right person, lacking in self-control. Obviously, if you're not masturbating regularly, you might be hoping somebody else will activate that second chakra for you. So that's 6 points. If I could come up with 3 more, like, what if you could do whatever you wanted? What if life was like perfect and best case scenario, and you could live indefinitely. Like people sometimes. And by the way, the paradox is that it's more powerful to exercise self-control than try to seduce other people, and more powerful to respect other people and instead of just trying to quickly seduce them. But as I was continuing on here, point number 7 is when you make a choice, all right, that you're willing to do whatever.
This is Mickey Champion singing to us about the ball and
whatever
chain.
you want.
Towards the end, how she's going like, I don't know if it's a ball or a chain, but it's
all right. Anything's possible when you operate like that. Then you're operating the quote unquote heavenly, or masked life mastery way.
she's sort of leaning over a bear and she's looking tired.
That's nice. Oh, check it out, guys. This is the Aloha Tower. This is the pier here. And by the way, this is the ship with the blue lights here. But yeah, the trick, okay, the trick is to aloha. The trick is, well, and then number 8's going to be the definition of love. But before I get there, I want to just make a point that, like, it's better to be with no one than to give yourself to somebody who you don't like want to do all in, and there might be a possibility that you might break up. It's like, well, in a perfect world, wouldn't you have the patience like a child wouldn't be driven or compelled by their sexual desire, which is in effect like a drug? All right. So, what I'm suggesting here, guys, like number 8, the bottom line is you want to, the mind, especially the male mind, is easily distracted by all the possibilities of variations of different women and what they look like, and so the men have to be especially cautious that all types of people they can distract them from true love and truth. And so in order to avoid that, you have to avoid the setting. I think it's good for people to have guardians, for people to not have like their own money and car and house, because then they might be prone, unless they really know themselves and are really disciplined, they might be prone to bring somebody over for intimacy. I mean, that's the whole mistake of having co-ed gender together schools instead of separate, segregated, is you end up having people who are bound to seduce each other, and it's nothing to do with love. It's whatever it's, you either want to please somebody because you love them, or you want to just seek pleasure. And that seeking of pleasure, just that seeking of sexual pleasure is destructive, just like seeking a drug, because then you want more and more variety and more pleasure. And for example, people who want younger or more attractive bodies than someone who is probably more of a good match for them, you get into these unrealistic fantasies that I would rather be with my dream mate than somebody who's for example younger or more attractive. From my point of view, the attraction is in the idea that we're pursuing dreams together, that we have a similar lifespan, that we see each other as equals, and that it's more than just being able to play. And in fact, I'm one to argue that it's almost like pleasure can be a distraction. Like, it's not necessarily a positive, useful thing to have more pleasure, to seek more pleasure, or to experience more pleasure. For example, if people are more sexually compatible, their sex organs are a better match, if you will. So So then it comes on to number point. I think we're at point 8 here. The definition of love. People mistakenly say, "Oh, I like this person. Oh, they might like me." By the way, might and I wish and I hope, bad words. Like you've got to have a dating profile, a profile that indicates this is who I am. This is what type of person I'm looking for. Certain dating websites will help out with that. And by the way, it's not dating that you want. You want like marriage websites where you can find out everything you need to, including even levels of virility and sexual ability, and that just by emails, web cameras, and looking at somebody's profile. That's the efficient way to find the right one. And really, that's what it comes down to, the argument of efficiency. What's the most efficient way to find that special someone? And let me transition into, finishing point 8. So the precision of terminology. Like, love means that you can't really love a person. You can only love dreams and values. So when somebody has mutually shared, then they are common. They are sharing their matching dreams. Or how do I say this? They love each other's dreams, and they're willing to commit to them. So therefore, they can commit to the person. And it's better to be with that person for only one day than 1,000 people for 1,000 years, if they're not the right person. And so that's where people get messed up. They use terms like girlfriend, significant other, blah blah blah. Like I use the term like only life partner or dream mate, somebody who is really the one who's like, you don't have to lower your guard around. You don't have to worry about if you lose your health or wealth. Just like the marriage vows, just like, as the marriage vows suggest. Okay, this is somebody who you'd be glad to push around in a wheelchair. That's another hint that they're the right one. And it's not, people get distracted by all the goings on of life on other people's bodies and relationships. And let me get into, so point 8, right? Love, definition of love, you can't love a person, you can only love their dreams. And then what else we got going on here? We got the definitions of marriage, and they say the marriage ceremony is significant. Well, no, what's significant is sexual intimacy. That is more important than the marriage ceremony, for example. So as I was, I think what can we make for point 9? Point 9 is just, it's a trick of you can use a puppet, or you can bring around to pretend it's your future partner, and pretend that they're always looking over for you. Sometimes it's harder to be nice to yourself. Imagine they're looking at you and what they would want for you. You can write letters to them. You can even make a secondary profile that describes them. And remember not to be too descriptive when you don't need to be. Like, what the fuck? Like, you don't want to. You don't want to set, like for example, you might think that you want a person with a certain body type, but you might meet somebody who just shares the common values that you have, and you just would want to be with them. You might think that a person has to but there's also the element of child rearing, and that has to be not always, like, you might not want to have children, and therefore, you know, it's some but don't base your relationship off of that. That must be point 9. It's not based upon money. You don't need money to have a dream mate. You need money to raise children. You know, and a lot of people, perhaps women in particular, get caught into the biology of not thinking, just wanting to procreate, and not thinking about how their husband makes their money, whether it's legitimate money, not thinking about anything about except security. And so that is a mistake that is made. But this is 10 reasons why you only want why it's worth waiting. One reason, you know, one final reason here is just like I was describing, like this, like life is quite difficult and complicated, and you know, you have to be able to look at for the end of your day and your end of your life, that your memories, and that you're you know, that you want to be with somebody even if they're older, you know, and they've lost their physical qualities. But like I was saying, like, there are exceptions where, you know, if you do want to have children, then you should be realistic about physical traits and genetics that you want to perpetuate, and that and that you find desirable, be it different qualities, strengths, mental, physical, and so on. And well, thanks for tuning in, guys. Let me try to get a point 10 in here. Point 10 is, I think I hinted at this earlier, but it's just the idea of the social aspect of it. Like, unless you are very glad to be publicly, you know, open about your relationship, and there may be exceptions where it's like maybe they have a previous partner that you want to you don't want them to know about, you know, and they could be a potential problem. And by the way, hello, like, all the suffering that goes along with, oh, you know, they fucking have you know, they have kids with them, that like, there's conflicts, and there's, you know, financial, it's like sick. It's like, life is so difficult, so why would you complicate it? Like, when you truly they talk about loving yourself. When you truly do that, when you truly get it, oh, this is me, I absolutely want this, I absolutely want pets, or I absolutely don't want pets, or I absolutely want to travel, or I absolutely don't. Like, that's what you really want, guys. You really want your absolutes. Alright? So, big appreciation for joining me in this conversation. Maybe I'm missing a point that that you would definitely want to include. Feel free to do so, and I want to say aloha, and yeah, let's see what my feature of my next video is. But I think I'm going to include in a link below another video I've done on the subject, and we'll see if but this, I think, was a really comprehensive summarization of my ideas. So yeah, thanks for joining me, guys. Aloha.